Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at solving for x with equivalent fractions. So when we say x, it basically just means a number we don't know yet. So you could substitute x with any of these things: a blank square, blank circle, a question mark. It basically x is just the unknown. You could even substitute it with another letter if you want to. So if we have two fractions that look like this, 2/3 equals 8 over x, we want to solve for x. We want to figure out what x is. So I have it rewritten here as well. I'm going to demonstrate in just a moment. You could also rewrite it 2/3 equals 8 over blank, if that helps you. So in here, multiplication is our friend. That's how we're going to start solving this. And we're going to do what's called cross multiply. Okay, and that's what I have written over here. We're going to multiply across. Okay, we're going to multiply cross numbers. So it's going to be 3 times 8 we're going to multiply, and 2 times x. And I know you're probably terribly confused by this point. If you're not, that's fantastic. You can just keep going. But if you are confused, that's really normal, because this is super hard at first to kind of get the idea of. It's confusing. So look how I write it. Let me show you how I write it. Okay, so I do it like this. I do 2 times x, which you just do 2x. That means 2 times x. You could do it like 2 times x. You certainly could do that. Sorry, it's kind of messy, but you can just leave out the times in the middle. You don't need to worry about that. So 2x, and I just rewrote it like this too: 2 times question mark, 2 times, it could be a blank space, just to kind of help you see how it works. And then you're going to write equals. We've already done 2 times x, so now we need to do 3 times 8. So we write it here, 3 times 8. So now we've cross-multiplied. We have a set of variables on this side, a set of numbers on this side, and as well as one on this side. So that is what we call an equation. So an equation, do you notice in the word equation, it sounds like the word, whoops, I'm losing the, there we go. Starts out kind of like equal. There's a reason for that. It's because this side equals this side, so they're equal, all right? And it doesn't matter which way you write it. You might say, can I write 3 times 8 equals 2 times x? Sure. It doesn't matter. 3 times 8 equals 2 times x. 2 times x equals 3 times 8. You can read them left to right and right to left. Either one, both ways will work very nicely. Okay, so then the next part of your job is to multiply the numbers together, or the integers is what you'll eventually learn them as. Basically, an integer is a whole number. So we're going to multiply 2 times x, it doesn't go anymore, just that's it, 2x, equals 3 times 8. And if you remember your times tables, or even if you don't, 3 times 8 is 24. So we're going to say 2x equals 24. Now some of you may be able to just zip right through and solve the rest of this in your head. I'm going to show you the way to do it so that when you get a really, really, really super hard one, you will know the steps to go through. So that's step 2, is to multiply the numbers. Step 3, division is our friend. So when we talk about division, we do it like this. We want to get this x all by itself because we want to know, what does this x stand for? How much is it? In order to get this x all by itself, we have to get rid of this 2. The way to get rid of this 2 is divide it by itself. So if it's a 3, I'd divide it by 3. A 5, I'd divide it by 5. But the way to get rid of this 2 is divide it by itself, because anything divided by itself is going to equal 1. 1x. That's what I want, 1x. And you don't even need to write the 1. So what you're going to do is 2 divided by 2 equals 1x. And you see I wrote it over here, and then I scribbled out the 1 because we don't need it. It's just x. And then 24 divided by 2. So what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. That's one of the rules of equations. Okay? If you do something to one side, you got to do the same thing to the other side. So I did 2 divided by 2 over here. I'm going to do 24 divided by 2 here. And if you remember your division, or even if you just want to figure out how many times 2 goes into 24, you would get that x equals 12. So that's fantastic. So now you know that x equals 12. And what you can do, is you can go back to your original equation and solve for x. So here's your original equation, right? Right up here. Right up here. So now you know that x equals 12. Right? So what's going to go in that box? 12 is going to go right in that box. So it's 2/3 equals 8/12. So you can write it, oh, sorry about that. Write it cleaner. There you go. All right. Here, you just write 2/3 equals 8/12. All right, it's nice and clean. And then give it a nice circle so your teacher knows how you solved it. And let me see if I can get a picture of this for you so you can see kind of the whole thing. So this is the work that we just went through to solve an equivalent fraction using an equation and solving for x. That's equivalent fractions, basic equivalent fractions.